So a ginger poultice, and that's excellent for painful joints. And remember, it is quite a powerful anti-inflammatory, has a powerful anti-inflammatory effect. We had a lady attend one of our programs, and she had a very swollen finger joint. She said, "This finger has been hurting me for about a year." And she could not bend her finger. It was so painful. And she said, "I'm right-handed. It interferes with my ability to write, to prepare food, to sew." She said it's really difficult. But she said, "I'm in my late 60s now. I guess, you know, I'm getting arthritis." How many people think that they're getting into their late 50s, 60s, so these sorts of things are going to happen? But I can tell you now, we've seen people totally free from them. So we put a grated ginger poultice on her, and of course that was a little tiny one that we put on her finger. The next morning she came in and she said, "I have no pain in that finger."
Hello and welcome back. I'm Barbara O'Neill, and today we are diving into natural remedies for inflammation and pain. These are common issues that can impact our daily lives and overall well-being. Did you know that chronic inflammation is linked to a variety of health conditions, including arthritis, heart disease, and even Alzheimer's? In fact, studies show that nearly 50 million adults in the US are affected by some form of arthritis, often characterized by pain and swelling in the joints. In this video, we'll delve into the causes of inflammation and its effects on the body, as well as practical strategies you can adopt to reduce pain and swelling naturally. So stay tuned as we explore this important topic together. As a thank you for joining me today, we're giving away 100 free copies of my best-selling book to subscribers. So if you haven't yet, hit subscribe, like this video, and comment why you want to win.
And if they have pain in the joints, they can take high-dose turmeric. Turmeric is a powerful anti-inflammatory. Last June, I went to Scotland, and I was pulling my heavy bags off because I was travelling for about 6 weeks, and I didn't realise that I tore my supraspinatus tendon. Now your supraspinatus tendon is about nearly 2 inches wide, and your supraspinatus tendon is what gets your arm up that far, and then your deltoid takes it over there. So to make a long story short, in about August, I had a lot of pain and I could not lie on my arm, so I had an MRI, and my chiropractor rang me up and he said, "Are you ready for it?" He said, "You've got a full thickness tear of your supraspinatus tendon and a 1 centimetre retraction." He said, "Your bicep tendon is torn longitudinal and out of the groove. You have a infraspinatus and subscapularis tear here." He said, "You got it bad." So he said, "I suggest you go to an orthopaedic surgeon." So I went to an orthopaedic surgeon. I was impressed with this young man because he was about 40 and he was very fit. And he looked at my arm. Now, as soon as I found out I had the tears, I started to do comfrey root poultices. And comfrey has a growth stimulant in it, and it's growing all around my house. I planted it there. And it was winter, so I grate up the root and I'd put a poultice on it for 5 hours twice a day. And I was taking high-dose turmeric to get the inflammation down. I was taking 6,000 milligrams of turmeric a day. And I could get 8 out of 10 pain down to 2 out of 10 pain with the turmeric and the poultice. So I'd been doing that for 3 weeks before I saw the surgeon, and he wanted to know what I could do. I could lift it a little bit. He was shocked at what I could do considering what it said on the MRI. He said, "How serious is this?" He said, "Well, you've got a 1 centimetre retraction." He said, "That's a total tear." He said, "I have never seen that join." He said, "You will need surgery to stitch those two together." And he showed me on the computer that they can make a little slit and just a little slit there, and they can do the whole thing. It's actually incredible surgery what they can do now. And I said, "Wow." I said, "When can you do it?" And he said, well, have you got private health care? I said, no. He said, well, you'll have to go on a list. I said, is this serious? Do I need to do it soon? He said, no, it's not that serious. He said, what have you been doing? And I told him, and he went, I've heard about comfrey. And then he wrote down on my check, because I thought, well, I'll book in for the theatre because it's quick and easy. I said, what if I just hire you? How much do you cost? He said, I charge $2,000 for that. I thought, yeah, I'll pay $2,000 to have that fixed quickly. He said, but then you'd have to hire an operating theatre, and then you'd have to hire nurses, and then you'd have to hire an anaesthetist, and that'll be about $10,000. I said, forget it. Anyway, when I left, he said, keep up the good work, young lady. And I was puzzled when he said that. And when I opened the form to go on, the list to wait, he put 12 months. In other words, he doesn't think this is serious at all. So I just kept up my turmeric and I just kept up my comfrey poultices. And I have no pain. And I have full use of my arm. And I think I did that for about 3 months, but I don't do it anymore because I've got no pain.
Turmeric is a spice that comes from the root of the curcuma longa plant. It's best known for its active ingredient, curcumin, which has powerful anti-inflammatory properties. This makes turmeric effective for reducing pain and inflammation, especially in conditions like arthritis. Many people use turmeric by adding it to their meals or taking it as a supplement. To get the most benefit, a common recommendation is to take around 500 to 2,000 milligrams of curcumin each day. It's often suggested to pair turmeric with black pepper as it enhances the absorption of curcumin in the body. Comfrey is another remedy that's been around for a long time. Known for its healing properties, comfrey contains allantoin, which helps promote cell growth and tissue repair. People often make a poultice by grating the root, mixing it with a bit of water, and applying it to sore or injured areas for several hours. Comfrey is particularly good for treating sprains, strains and minor fractures. However, it's important to use it externally only, as ingesting comfrey can be harmful to the liver.
The humble potato. Now the potato is very good at reducing tissue inflammation. So this would be something like a swollen infected finger. It would be something like a swollen ankle. And sometimes you might have a swollen knee and you'll think, well, do I do potato or do I do ginger? Well, do one for a few hours, take it off and do another one for a few hours. Your body will tell you what is best, because sometimes you don't know whether it's joint or tissue inflammation. And what you do is you just grate that potato. We've got a tiny little potato, but that's usually all you need, because if you do too much, it becomes too wet, and there's nothing worse than leaking poultices. And the lady of the house will not be happy if there's potato juice on her sheets, because it's not easy to get out. In fact, our laundry lady has asked us, please don't do any more poultices at night in the health retreat, because the sheets were getting a bit stained. But you can certainly do them through the day, as long as you make sure you wrap them up really well. There shouldn't be a problem. So here is the potato poultice. And this would be a good size for a knee, say a sore knee, sprained ankle, like that. And you put it, you make the poultice out of it. Now, with the potato, it's very alkalizing, and when you've got inflamed tissue, it's very acid. And potato is high in potassium and phosphorus, and both of those are absorbed by the skin to help with the healing. So you can see again, I've got an area around my poultice, so that when you put it on the skin, like I did with Amelia's poultice, the plastic well covers it.
Potatoes help reduce inflammation because of their natural cooling properties and alkaline nature. Inflammation often happens when there's too much acidity in an area of the body, and potatoes can help balance that out. When applied to the skin, a potato can draw out the excess heat, which reduces swelling and eases discomfort. They're also packed with minerals like potassium and phosphorus, which can be absorbed through the skin to support healing. One of the best things about using a potato is how easy it is. Just grate a raw potato and apply it directly to the affected area. You can wrap it with a cloth or some plastic wrap to keep it in place and avoid any mess. Leave it on for a couple of hours and then remove it. If you need to, you can use a fresh poultice afterward. Potato poultices are versatile and can be used for different kinds of inflammation. They're great for joint issues like swollen knees or sprained ankles. You can also use them on sore muscles, insect bites, or even minor burns. Because potatoes have a cooling effect, they're especially helpful if the inflamed area feels warm or hot.
At a friend's house here, it must have been 18 months ago, and I was seeing a lady, and when she came in, her little boy came in too. And her little boy was about 7, and he had a sore finger. And I was immediately drawn to his sore finger. His finger was swollen almost twice the size. It was all red with a pussy top. I said, "What's happened to the finger?" And the lady said, "Well, the doctor says it's cellulitis." Do you know what cellulitis is? Just inflammation of the cell. That's all cellulitis is. Well, that's obvious, that's inflammation of the cell. I said, "What have you been doing?" She said he's on his 2nd course of antibiotics. He's on painkillers and sleeping tablets at night. 7. I said, did anything happen to that finger? See, the detective hat has to go on. Did anything happen? Oh, he had a blister, and then he played in the dirt, and the blister broke, and the dirt got on the skin. It's not rocket science, is it? And of course, as soon as the dirt got into the blood, then the body reacts by sending white blood cells, inflaming the area to try and protect the area. I said, aha. I said, "Do you mind if I try something?" She said, "Please." I said, "Well, what I'd like to do is get 2 cups. One cup's got hot water, the other cup has got cold water. And in the cold water, there are blocks of ice. It's a hydrotherapy treatment. So I shall write this one up. So what we did 3 minutes in the hot water, and we did 30 seconds in the cold water. And the reason this works is that hot is a stimulant. Because we know if we get into a hot shower or a hot bath when we're cold, it stimulates, doesn't it? It's a stimulant. But probably within about 5 minutes of being in a hot bath, how do we feel now? We feel like falling asleep, don't we? So initially, hot stimulates and then it slows right down. So I put his finger in the hot water, but I'm only going to put it in for 3 minutes because by 3 minutes everything's going to slow down. And then I put it into the cold. What happens when you have a cold shower? Has everyone been trying their cold shower? It's a stimulant, isn't it? But if we were to go and dive in a cold creek in the middle of winter, very quickly we start to slow down. In fact, in about 30 seconds, everything starts to slow down. So can you see what we're doing here? We're using the stimulating time of hot, and by the time, before it can slow down, we whiz over to the cold and wake it up again. And before that has time to cool down, we go back to the hot, wake it up again. Can you see what we're doing here? And you do that 3 times. More than 3 times can exhaust the body because this is dramatically moving the blood. You see, the blood is the life of the flesh, and that finger needs more blood. And that wound, in that wound, the blood had tended to sit and pool. So bringing fresh blood in drives the stagnant blood out, and when the fresh blood comes in, it's got oxygen, it's got nutrients, it's got water, it's got white blood cells, everything that finger needs to heal. Now with the little boy, I had the hot water and I said, your good finger in and tell me if you're comfortable with that temperature. Can you see? This morning we talked about the will. You've got to work with the will. And if that little boy said, I don't want to do this, I would say, okay. Can you see that? A man convinced against his will be of the same opinion still. But I find children are easily won. I say, do you know that this will really help? Would you like to give it a try? See, you show great respect to children and they show great respect to you. And it's only when I get that nod that then I will do it. Anyway, he agreed. He was sick of this finger. Sick of the pain he was going through. And so he put his good finger on. I said, is that good? He said, yes. I said, put this one in. If it hurts, pull it out. And he pulled it out straight away. I said, just keep putting it in. Just keep putting it in until you can bear it. And then eventually he could bear it. And then we timed 3 minutes. And then back to the cold. And the cold feels quite good because you've been so hot. Now, while his finger's in the cold, I put a bit of boiling water in the hot. And then I say, put your good finger in. Are you happy with that temperature? Can you see? You've got to work with the will. He nodded. After 30 seconds, back in the hot. And he could bear it a little bit hotter this time because his finger's been in the cold. Can you see that? He did it 3 times. And when I'd finished the 3 times, how long did that take? 10 minutes? He had a big smile on his face. I would say by looking at his body language, his pain level had reduced by about easily 50%.
Hydrotherapy is a simple yet effective way of using hot and cold water to help the body heal. It works by boosting blood flow and improving circulation. When you immerse a body part in hot water, the heat causes the blood vessels to expand, allowing more blood to flow into the area. This extra blood brings with it more oxygen and nutrients, which can speed up healing. The heat also helps to relax the muscles and relieve pain. After the hot water, the area is then placed in cold water. The cold makes the blood vessels constrict, which reduces blood flow temporarily. By quickly switching between hot and cold, you're essentially pumping the blood through the area, which helps move out old, stagnant blood and brings in fresh, nutrient-rich blood. The cold also has a numbing effect, which helps reduce pain and swelling. This alternating hot and cold treatment is especially useful for things like sore muscles, inflammation, or minor injuries. It's a natural way to get the blood flowing and support the body's healing process. You don't need any fancy equipment, just a couple of bowls with hot and cold water will do. It's important to make sure the temperatures are comfortable, especially if you're treating a child or someone with sensitive skin. The key is to use hot and cold in short intervals like 3 minutes hot and 30 seconds cold, and repeat the process a few times. This helps keep the blood moving and can speed up recovery without relying on medication.
Now my suggestion is if you've got any painful joints and you're going to use ginger, apply it about 6 o'clock in the evening, because if that joint is inflamed, the skin can get very, very hot. Some people have said, Barbara, my skin's burning. I said, the good news is your skin won't burn, but if you can handle it, sleep with it. And some people say, I can't handle the heat. I said, well, just take it off. Even just being on for half an hour will take some of the inflammation out of the joint. It appears that the ginger pulls the inflammation out of the joint to the skin. Because if there's no inflammation in that joint, it won't get hot. Now, it will not hurt it, but it'll only get hot if there's inflammation in there. So, very nice on lower back. If someone's got a sore lower back, they'll often put a hot water bottle on it, and it'll bring a little bit of relief. Now, if they've got a sore back, there's usually inflammation there. And if they put a hot water bottle on it, it's not good for the inflammation. It can increase the inflammation. So why does it bring relief? Whenever you're in pain, the muscles cramp. And you put a hot water bottle on your back, it relaxes the cramping muscles. So it brings relief because of that. Now, putting a ginger poultice, if you put a ginger poultice on the lower back, you would make it about the size that I made the potato. So if you put a ginger poultice on your lower back, and what I say is put it on your lower back, and you can tape it on, and often your pants will hold it there. And you lie on your back with your knees in the air, you know, your knee up and your foot down so that the lower back goes flat. And it presses that against the lower back. Within half an hour, you start to feel the heat.
If you're planning to use a ginger poultice regularly, the most important thing is to stay consistent. Try applying it every evening and you might start seeing some real changes over time, like less pain and better movement in the joints. Ginger has these natural anti-inflammatory properties that target the source of inflammation, helping to pull it out through the skin. If you're dealing with issues in other areas like your knees or shoulders, you can do the same thing. Just make the poultice to fit the area, secure it properly, and keep it on for at least half an hour. It's best if you can stay relaxed during that time so the ginger can do its job without interruption. Keep in mind, everyone has different skin sensitivity, so it's really important to pay attention to how you feel. If the heat becomes too much, take the poultice off right away. Even a short application can help reduce inflammation. If you have sensitive skin, you could also put a thin cloth between the poultice and your skin. This can help prevent irritation while still giving you the benefits of ginger. Thank you for joining me today to explore inflammation, pain, and swelling. I hope you found this information helpful and empowering as you take steps to improve your health. Remember, understanding your body is the first step toward better well-being. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe for more valuable insights. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.